ASTRO, Monster Energy, Corsair, Zowie, and Intel.
Welcome back to Atlanta, Georgia. We are surrounded by a beautiful city full of beautiful people and, from what I've heard, great barbecue. I haven't yet tried that, but that is one of my aims this weekend. But we're here inside of the Georgia World Congress Center playing for that trophy right there, the DreamHack ASTRO Open trophy, and there's $100,000 on the line. We're through now into game number 3. My name is James and I'm joined here by Vendetta and Adren. How are we feeling going into game number 3?
A bit more confident that we're going to see a competitive game than the last one we had. That was a bit of a one-sided one. Renegades and Misfits, two kind of up and down teams. I think Happy kind of touched on it very nicely in his interview, the fact that it's two very streaky teams that we're dealing with here. Renegades have been everything from absolutely terrible, if we look at the start of the Pro League season, for instance, to very, very, very good when you look at the latter half of the Pro League season. So for them, it's more just getting things to click very early on, otherwise it could get really ugly. And I feel like it's somewhat similar with Misfits as well.
This is our second game in Group A, so let's just have a quick recap of where we are with the groups so far. Earlier on today, we saw Hellraisers beat Binary Dragons, and as you can see, our second match here is Renegades versus Misfits, as we're about to see. On the other side of the tournament, though, we have Group B. We just saw Envious take a convincing win against NRG, and later on, we will see Heroic versus Godsent. First off, let's chat a little bit about Renegades and their recent form. We just spoke a little bit about their qualification through to Malmo and also their performance in the Asia Minor and the qualification for the Major. How are we feeling about Renegades and their recent form, Eric?
If we're talking about against the best teams, I guess they went 1-3 at the main qualifier and didn't quite come out. They lost in overtime against Flipside, had like a 16-14 against Tyloo. They beat Optics. I mean, they're still beating very good teams. They just didn't quite make it out. So I think their form's decent. I mean, they beat Liquid 2-1 online from Malmo, so looking good there. You know they have firepower. The thing that's interesting to look at is like who's in-game leading for them, which I believe is Nifty now.
Yes, should be Nifty now. It's kind of hard to tell.
But Nexa was brought into the team to IGL, I thought, right?
I'm not really sure if they had a clear idea of who wanted to IGL when they brought both Nifty and Nexa in, but I think the initial idea was to have Nexa in-game lead because he's also Serbian, as is their coach, Kasad. So there was kind of that connection there, so I'm assuming, you know, he'd be spoon-fed things to do from their coach, because I don't think Nexa necessarily had any previous experience of being an IGL, so who knows, really. I mean, for Renegades, it's worth trying things out. Still a fairly fresh team in that sense, but
we have Nifty, and I was talking to Ryu, I think this was at DreamHack Austin. I was talking to Ryu about Nifty, and he says Nifty is one of the most hardworking people he's ever seen. He knew this kid, well, you know, kid because he's young. Yeah, but
well, compared to us at least.
Yeah. That like he just, the amount of hours he puts in, the dedication, the amount of time he puts in to actually want to, you know, be better. And he's one of the younger IGLs out there. Previously IGL for Selfless, and now I guess he was helping call, or maybe is the main caller now for Renegades here. So it's interesting to see him play as well, because I think it was at the minor that he was just going absolutely off with his op.
Oh yeah, versus Tyloo and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, it was yeah, he had a bit of a showdown during the Asian regional qualifiers, and it's kind of cool to see actually that you have newer players and I guess youngsters actually taking on the responsibility of being an in-game leader, because I think you see as a general theme with most top teams, the in-game leader is oftentimes the oldest guy in the team, or at least amongst them. And that's partly because it's not the most fun role to take upon yourself, because it does take away a lot of the focus you have on your personal performance, but it's very much necessary, and especially in a region like NA, where you don't necessarily have that many in-game leaders to choose from. It's really important that you get a new generation of people who actually wants to take that responsibility and lead by example in many ways. So I think Nifty, regardless if, let's say, Renegades doesn't work out, he's going to have a high market value, I think, amongst a lot of teams.
And as we go over the stage and have a look at their opponents, Misfits, we see a lot of familiar faces, mix-up of North Americans and French. We saw them last week at Valencia. Their performance in Valencia will not have been up to their scratch, right? Up to scratch as far as they're concerned.
I mean, last time we saw, or the time we saw them before that, was obviously DreamHack Tours, where they had honestly a very, very good tournament, beating Navi, for instance. I mean, they took some big scalps in 2 best-of-3s, and obviously coming into Valencia, we did add the caveat, the fact that they haven't necessarily played that much since then as a whole 5.
Exactly, they were all over the place, right?
Yeah.
They had Sean's wedding. Shazam was dropped for like a couple of weeks.
Yeah, 5 days or something. Yeah. I don't know. It was a bit of a cluster there over at that side, but it seems like they've got things sorted out for now, at least. No changes since Valencia, at least.
So last weekend,
yeah, you know,
it's going good for them now.
Exactly, they're on a bit of a hot streak for this last week. But honestly, they similarly had a pretty weak start in their first opening game in Valencia, and obviously they ran into Envious in a best-of-3 decider on day 2. But I think they played fairly okay in that matchup. And again, we have to consider the fact that Envy as well got progressively better as the tournament went along too. So rough draw for Misfits in that sense. And I think the roster that they have is actually pretty decent. We've seen Sick have his big moments, and from time to time again, Youngster needs consistency. That comes with time and experience, so you just kind of have to live with it. I think Shazam has actually been really, really good, both online and offline, for the better part of 3+ months. And that's always something you want to see, because the first time he got his crack at Pro CS in Cloud9, that was not necessarily the case.
Yeah, I think Shazam is actually like the rock of this team.
Yeah, which is weird to say about Shazam.
Yeah, I mean, he's very consistent with hitting op shots, I think, and, you know, when they're always doing good, it's always Shazam on top.
Yeah. No,
in Tour, he was definitely the standout player for Misfits.
Yeah, no, he's been really, really good. And I think also the 2 French season, Devidek and Amanek, have been playing pretty well as well. My probably pick for the one who's done the better out of the 2 would be Amanek. And I like actually seeing when Misfits juggle around double ops with Shaz and Amanek. I think that actually becomes a really powerful duo.
Yeah, the Frenchies actually surprised me in Tours. Like, they had a really good event, and I was like, oh, okay, they scouted out some really good players here. But since then, I don't know, it's just been kind of lackluster for Misfits. Maybe just we haven't seen them enough.
I think that might be,
you know.
Yeah, no, they had a bit of a rough patch, as we mentioned. I think that obviously makes it tough for a team to function properly. I will say, though, I've been kind of disappointed with what I've seen from Devidek. On average, he does have his big games. He does have his very low games as well, and that is something that needs to get sorted out if they want to make it far.
Talking about that, is Sick. I mean, first, like, when Sick was on TSM, it was like Sick and Twist, and I think Sick was the one that was even more hyped to, like, this guy's going to be nuts.
Yeah, he definitely was.
And I feel like he's fallen off a little bit. And I mean, Twist obviously on Liquid now is kind of their star, even. But then Sick's been just really quiet. I think he had a very bad series in Valencia, but
yeah, he was actually completely out of it. And in his first series, I think we talked about the fact that last time they met up, I think because they were playing Heroic. Last time they met versus Heroic, that was just him going off, pretty much taking the team on his back and carrying them through. And that was definitely not the case in Valencia at all. So hopefully they'll have a bounce-back tournament. And we're going to end up with Mirage as our map.
Yeah, how do you feel about that?
The last 2 times they've played, Misfits have won both times.
Yeah.
Right.
And actually, like, when Misfits finally got this roster together, Mirage was one of the maps that they actually started leaning towards more heavily than others. So I think for Misfits, this is probably a pretty comforting, pretty comfortable pick, in all honesty. Renegades Mirage, I haven't seen it too much as of late, so can't really comment on it as to how complete they're going to feel going into this matchup. But I know Misfits, you know, they have the groundwork. Again, it's a strong Garage team, so they're going to have the fundamentals for the map just locked down.
Yeah, I think Misfits will be way more structured here. And I think Shazam's actually really good on Mirage too, which is why it's one of their stronger maps.
Yeah.
How both of these teams fared against each other in previous weeks? I think they played each other in Pro League.
They've played each other, I think, 4 times. Misfits has won 3.
Renegades won.
Renegades won, and then 2 of them were on Mirage, like I said. And Misfits won both. So
none of those matches were on
LAN.
LAN. Yeah.
No, that's the thing. Yeah, so we haven't seen these guys head-to-head on LAN.
How different do we expect it to be based on that? do you think it's going to get to any of these players specifically?
Again, I think Shaz is going to have to be a big part of what Misfits do. I'm also looking at Amanek to be the Frenchie to step up. But on the side of Renegades, I think JKS has been, he had a bit of a slump if you go back a couple of months, but as of late, he's just been playing better and better, and he is the kind of guy who shows up at offline events too. That's kind of where he got his breakthrough as well. If you go back to the Definity series in 2015, that's when everybody opened up their eyes to this Australian player. And for the longest time, I expected JKS to be the first Australian player to kind of get integrated into the North American top teams and ride the way from there. Instead, it's been Ricky going into CLG and those kind of moves. But even still, I would, you know, look at one of the top 3 teams in NA. If they ever were to change a player, I would be like, you know, I would be pointing them in the direction of JKS because he's still an extremely good player and just very versatile as well. So I think, you know, any of the better teams in NA can actually benefit from having him on their roster.
Right. So similar question to you, Eric. Which players should we be looking out for in this matchup?
Misfits, Shazam, like I've been saying. He'll be roaming around the window room, back at Ticket, and just kind of floating around, showing his dominance on the op. I don't think he's not like in a super aggressive opper where he'll go in like A ramp like Fallen or whatnot or NA halls, but he'll like be consistently there and lock down portions of the map. In terms of Renegades, I'm going to watch out for Nifty. I think he's their key. Obviously, the other opera on the team, so I think it's just going to be who's going to come out best on that. And Nifty being the IGL, I think it might, you know, come down to his performance as well and how he's feeling and how he's calling it.
I want to talk a little bit about you spoke about Nifty being like a younger player coming into this lineup. How special is it for a young player to be playing on a stage like this? We spoke about we haven't seen them much on LAN. How important is it for those kind of players? I mean,
well, Eric, you probably know this better than most because you've kind of had that progression as well, going up on, you know, finals games really on stages and everything. I think for me, it's obviously, I would assume it's a daunting task. Obviously, Nifty's had some experiences already, so it's not going to be the first time. He's not going to be shocked by what he's seeing already. But again, I do think it's easier to get down on yourself knowing you're playing in front of a crowd if you mess up, especially having so much responsibility for the potential success of Renegades as he does right now.
And how about having those experienced players next to you, right? That must mean a lot.
Yeah, I mean, if you're younger, I would say the stage presence might hurt your performance just a tiny bit if you don't like really succeed under that pressure. But I think like for the older players, it almost makes you play better because there's more pressure on you. You've been there before, and you kind of just get this energy that you just want to play on LAN. I always think like the VP guys. Yeah. They get that energy on LAN. They're the older guys. So younger guys, it really depends on what kind of person that guy is and if they're going to handle the pressure, if they,
Yeah, I suppose that's what it comes down to, isn't it? Like people like VP, they've been on stage so many times that it allows them kind of to relax a little bit, definitely. And they also know the importance of joking about a little bit, because even if they were going into a game that made them nervous, even if it was like a grand final on LAN, we even hear it when you hear the sort of the talkbacks on when you hear the teams playing back in the day when we actually saw some events doing a lot of those. They have to keep that kind of sense of humor going, right?
Absolutely. Important. I mean, anything to get you into your comfort zone, and I think that's a luxury that obviously the experienced players have. The fact that they can joke about it, they can have a kind of bit of a graveyard humor or dark humor about certain situations. They could be down by a bunch and still be like, find a way to actually see the positives in it, whether it's through dark humor or just keeping the spirits up. That's different from person to person and team to team, but they definitely have that luxury that someone like Nifty and Renegades necessarily don't have.
Yeah, I think if you ever watched the old NIP comms, those were always hilarious to listen to. They were just cracking jokes the entire time under like big LAN pressure matches. And that's always warming to see.
Getting into semifinals of a major, sitting there talking to them like you're in like a radio tower or something.
Exactly, yeah. They were hilarious.
Yeah. I believe the players are almost ready, so let's jump into some predictions. Mirage, let's go. How do we feel about this, Vendetta?
I'm actually feeling I'm leaning towards Misfits here, honestly. I haven't seen too much of Renegades. I know they have very good individual players, and we have a guy like Ustilo is a bit of a wild card to me. He can either be very impactful for a team, for his team, or just make the weirdest decisions ever and cost his team in a big way. But Misfits, from the very last game we saw, or the last series we saw in Valencia, that was more of a positive note for me than anything else. So I'm going to side with them for this best of one.
How about you, Eric?
Yeah, I'm going to go with history here and go with Misfits winning like 16 double digits, I think. It'll be close, so 16-12.
16-12. Do you think it'll be a close one as well?
Yeah, I'm expecting it to be close, like 16-12 or closer, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I want to go Misfits as well. Like they impressed me at Tour.
Yeah,
right? The last time we really saw them perform as a 5, apart from last week, and yeah, they didn't really manage to hit the ground running right last week. Yeah, so Misfits for me too. Yeah, I think we can go and chat to iCasters. Yeah, Risk and Blue, I believe, are ready to have a chat.
Hello, we are ready. How's it going?
There we go.
What's so funny?
Nothing at all.
Are you okay, Blue?
Yeah, I'm just hanging out, man. I'm ready to cast the game.
We stood up like off screen when I started saying
No, you just looked really nervous about throwing it to us.
because I wasn't 100% sure. There was a part of me in my head that thought we'd come to this split screen, it would just be 2 empty chairs.
Oh, no. We're good.
But I'm so happy to see you.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about this one? What are your guys' predictions?
I'm kind of in the same boat as you guys, where I'm definitely leaning towards Misfits overall. I wouldn't completely discount Renegades though, because Renegades have actually had a pretty few good performances. Like they recently upset Liquid. Granted, it was online, but they recently upset Liquid to qualify for Malmo, if I remember correctly. So they've had some pretty good runs themselves. There's definitely a chance for them to take this match. It's just like a lot of you guys said on the analysis, going by history and the fact that we're now in a LAN environment, I do have to swing it towards Misfits a little bit more.
Yeah, I pretty much agree, but if it wasn't a Mirage, I would probably say Renegades, but with the history of these two teams on this map, it's very hard to argue for something else. But I do agree with like it's going to be an insanely close game. I think these two teams match each other so well, and they've played each other so many times. So I think it's going to be a close game, and I hope it's going to be a good game because we have the potential of having a real good game here in front of us.
Do you think that the memory of last week for Misfits could be sort of lingering in the back of their heads and could affect them in any way? Yeah.
It always is. Like, if you have a bad tournament, and especially if you're a team, you're on a streak of bad tournaments, then it always like lies in the back of your head thinking, oh, is this happening again? Is this happening again? Is the slump continuing? So it's a part of like the mental game of CS where you have to constantly build yourself up, even though you get broken down all the time. And to be honest, on the team of Misfits, I think they have enough like mental fortitude. Sean Garris is one of the players that I always look towards as one of the guys who can just rise from the ashes every single time. So it's always in your back of your mind, I imagine, but I think they have what it takes to go up again.
And Blue, which players should we be looking out for from your point of view? Who are you expecting to turn up in this one?
Shazam, very clearly for the Misfits side of things. I'm not really sure, to be completely honest, for the Renegades. It's almost seemed like very random from time to time showing up to it, and especially since, again, it's very rare that we actually see LAN performances from them. Yeah. I would say Nexa right off the bat, but I'm not entirely sure if that's going to be the case. Definitely some of the like Australian players like JKS and Azure are probably going to be pretty big, probably going to have pretty big performances regardless of how well they're doing in the match.
Yeah, definitely. JKS is one of those players. If he shows up, he can be on top of the scoreboard easily, and he can just wreck everyone. But he's not that consistent just yet. Also, I think with the young age and everything. So I think Nexa and
like
him.
Someone's going to show up. We just don't know who that someone is going to be yet. Is the problem here.
I think Sean Garris could be like an X factor here. He hasn't really been exactly pulling his weight lately, but if he actually does, because like Misfits doesn't rely on Sean pulling a lot of frags, but if he does show up, then it's just going to be an extra benefit for Misfits.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. It's kind of like when North are playing and MSL is showing up frag-wise, they just seem to dominate everyone. If he isn't, then they play a good game still. But if that in-game leader who doesn't usually get frags steps up and just adds that to the equation, it's going to help out so much.
Yeah. Well, Misfits in the prediction side of things, it's very weighted towards them, but we are expecting a very close game here. So guys, take it away.
All right, thank you very much. And indeed, we are going to be getting started on Mirage in just a moment here. We have all 10 players connected. The knife round has already finished, so I think we're just seconds away from getting started here on our third map of the day as the action continues. We're only halfway through it. We have plenty more to come, so make sure you guys are going to be sticking around. But this match tends to be, or is definitely going to lean itself into being a pretty good one in my eyes here. Like I said, Renegades have had some prowess as of late. They may upset Liquid to qualify for Malmo in an online match there, and they've kind of needed that to bolster them back up as their performance has been swaying all over the place, especially in a lot of these online leagues and whatnot. One week they're doing amazing. They're crushing teams like SK and whatnot, 16-0. Old roster, but still relevant point. And then, the next week, in the next, beginning of the season, then they're the ones getting crushed by teams that you would never expect to happen.
Yeah, I think so as well, because Renegades, in my opinion, individual are potentially a bit stronger aim-wise, but strategically and as a team, Misfits has to be the one with the upper hand here. And it's gonna come down to how you can put that together, because you can't just play on one of those things when you get to this kind of level of CS, when you get to the stages, when you get to the arenas. You can't just rely on aim only to win a game. You can't just rely on strategies only. You have to mix those two up, and that's going to be the problem for both of these teams, and it's going to be the consistency as well. We talked about Sam, his consistency with the AWP has been on point lately. Yeah,
even going up against Envious, if I remember the stats correctly, back over at Valencia last week, I think he managed to still pull over like a 1.0 HLTV rating in all 3 of the maps. So he's been, you know, even when the team is struggling in certain situations, he still shows up. And so far, in these past 2 or 3 events, he's had really good performances. So we're looking forward to seeing that carry on now into Atlanta as well.
Definitely. Right now we do see the team huddles going on. This is of course Kassad, the team coach, making sure that Renegades are all ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely, and that is going to be the big question as we shift the discussion back over to the Renegades, is that, you know, who exactly is going to be the player to show up? Because even watching those online qualifiers a little over a week ago that I was checking out, it did seem like almost random in which player shows up.
Yeah.
Some games you still are showing up and he had huge performances among that qualifier. Other games it's Azure and JKS working together, and those 2 have big performances. But it's so inconsistent; it goes away like the next map, and then it comes back again 2 or 3 maps later. It's so hard to track it down and really determine who's going to be the all-star player. Nexa actually did struggle quite a bit when I was checking him out a couple of weeks ago too, so that's another thing that he's going to have to work on and bring himself back up to, because originally when he jumped on this team he was doing really well, but as of the recent couple weeks he's really been struggling to bring that kind of performance. So we're going to hope that now he's prepared himself a little bit more for Atlanta here, and he's going to be in a bit better shape jumping into this first matchup. Yeah,
definitely the preparation time that they have, like comparing to teams like NRG, comparing to Envious, even Heroic, all of the guys who were in Valencia who probably had maybe 1 or 2 prac days and then nothing else. Some of the teams didn't even have prac days, NRG for example. So it's going to be a situation where Renegades have had a bit of more time to prepare for this game, and if they had, like, they have the coach Kassad, who's a guy I have a lot of respect for, and that unison of that team and how they're building up and how they're preparing for stuff, I think they're going to have a slight advantage in that, because the other teams haven't really had that much time to prepare for these matchups.
Absolutely. So you can see everybody getting sat down now and just getting prepared for it. We should be good to start in just a moment as soon as both the teams are readied up, and it looks like it is going to be time now, folks. I think we are just about ready to leap into it here. So Renegades taking on the Misfits on Mirage. It's going to be an epic clash between these 2, well, somewhat North American teams. It's become a little bit blurred now, the lines in some situations. Renegades from Australia, but there's a Serbian on the team, and Misfits, they're American, but there's 2 Frenchmen on the team as well. So,
you know, it's global offensive.
Yeah, it's very global in this match, it would seem. But it is time, folks, to jump into it. So let's leap on to Mirage and take a look now at the opening pistol round, as the Renegades are going to be starting off on the CT side, and Misfits will jump over to the T side.
Sean Gers immediately going for the fake towards that A-bomb side, while the rest of the guys are setting up for that B push. Smoke, nade, flashbang on Devedek, and here comes the push.
And moving into it next up, first up to bat. Unfortunately missing all those shots, so he's going to have to fall back a little bit further towards Cat, making sure that he keeps himself alive, since he was basically the sole defender of that bomb site. So it's an easy plant for Misfits, but they are going to have to hold in a complete 5v5 for the post plant here. Everyone else on Misfits still stacking up around the B bomb site here, trying to hold themselves into good positions, and even watching out for flanks coming in through like underpass and whatnot as you look to players like Sean. But now the Renegades will start to move in, mainly through Cat as their area to press back in, but at the moment Misfits is destroying the entire retake. Amanek struggling a little bit here to hold himself off, so he's going to go down, but Shazam casually swings in with one more one-tap before he is finally smited by JKS, and JKS picking up a 3rd kill now. He's running low on time, doesn't have a kid in his arsenal either. There's the 4th kill. Can he get the ace? Sean's being smart though, just going to delay this further, and finally swings out to get that final kill, as the Misfits do indeed carry through to win out the pistol.
What a weird round coming in there. First of all, the B take coming in with no problems whatsoever. Then Amanek missing a whole clip in the Glock. Straight, like, that was so weird.
It's rough. And
then JKS coming in with the 4K, like almost getting the ace clutch.
Yeah, that round went 3 different directions, but for the Misfits, luckily it ended up in their court at the end of the ball game there, so they're going to end up with the advantage to start things off. Usual 2nd round force now comes in from the Renegades too, so we have the upgraded pistols, the scout buy for Nifty, which gets donated to him, and he tosses a deagle back over to JKS. He's going to have a little bit of an opportunity to do some work with it too, but unfortunately looks like he got pushed back due to a smoke and window room, so it's going to be this player inside of Connector instead.
This is the pretty much most popular default on Mirage right now, where you have that smoke from T-spawn to go into window, and then when that smoke pops, you go out, make sure that you can take that mid control. You have one player looking towards A, you can be in apartments on ramp, and then you have one player looking towards B, and just locking it down, slowly and surely taking that mid control, because you know you have the weapons advantage, they have pistols, might have a scout, that's why the smoke comes down into window. So you want to make sure that you don't play into their advantages. Nexa right now getting a little bit aggressive. This could be something that changes around, but usually when your Misfits on that C side, you just progress slowly. So you don't want to take any chances, don't want to be caught off guard.
Sean sneaking around here, but oh, shut down by Nexa. Nicely shot from him. That'll finish off Sean. Azure picking up now 2 more kills as well. He's going to be able to find both Shazam and Sick Nifty just completely clotheslines Amanek. And oh, what is this? How has this even happened this quickly? And there's another one from JKS now swinging downstairs. Instant headshot. And I mean, that looked like it was the reverse situation there. It seemed like Renegades were the ones with all the powerful guns and Misfits were the one on pistols in that round.
So all that talking about making slow progression and checking all angles and making sure you go as a group and take that control. Just throw that all out of the window and just say like pistols and CS and not checking corners.
So, okay. So that's going to definitely mix things up here at the beginning of the map.
Same setup this time around though for Misfits. Same smoke, same positions. They're just on pistols now.
Yeah, and they are still going to try to make this work with just a much more passive play up towards mid here. Nifty's ready for it, and I don't know if Sean's going to use that smoke to block off a window room or not. They might want to save that for the actual site take, so this is yet to be seen.
It actually looked like he was setting up for that smoke.
Oh, yeah. No, it's headed over to the site, actually.
Okay.
So I don't even know if they're going to push mid now. It's yet to be seen. We have to see what the overarching strategy is going to lead into here. That nade does get tossed over into the A-bombs, and now the rest are pushing out towards mid. No resistance from Nifty yet, but he's waiting for them to cross. Sees them all moving in through Cat. Shazam, though, who gets the opener, taking down Azure. He's been knocked out. Now Nexa gonna look for some trades here as he catches one, but peeks out. Will be taken down by Nifty. Oh, actually, excuse me, Nifty's gonna pick up a kill on Devoduvek. It was Amanek that got the kill against Nexa there, putting this into a bit of an awkward 3v3 for both teams in all reality. But Sean, waiting back inside of the jungle area, is able to pick up another kill against JKS, which is the measly little P250. Nicely found for him. Amanek waiting it, almost loses that battle, but he's able to close things down, and then Sick gets the final kill on Ustilla. They trade that mistake from the last round back, and now take control 2-1.
Make it work. Same strategy. Taking that mid control, going for that B push. This time around only had pistols and made it work nonetheless. And now Renegades into a situation where they can't really buy. Either they actually go for a full force buy here and then buy down to 0, but yeah, they're not going to buy anything whatsoever. See one player on $1,400, he's going to be wrecked for the next couple of rounds. Rest of his teammate could have bought pistols here, but they're going to wait until next round and then do a mini force buy. Leave a one poor player on pistols. And yeah, Misfits with a pretty good setup here. A couple of UMPs, good utility, not perfect. Couple of AKs as well. There should be no way that Renegades has anything to do with this round. And I'm afraid, I'm a bit afraid. Because every single time we say that, and we say, oh, pistols, they're not going to do that much damage. And they always do.
Yeah, if Renegades somehow shut down Misfits with this buy, or it's not even a buy, really.
Yeah.
One guy bought a flashbang. That's all they bought. So if somehow they won this round, then Misfits would probably have to take a pause and just think about life at that point. And something clearly would have gone wrong. But Misfits moving in, and they do manage to smoke off both those angles behind the arches too. So they take this really carefully, just in the event that Renegades were stacking on this site.
Yeah, just as afraid as we were.
Luckily, they weren't stacking there, though, and they all were on the other bomb sites. This is going to end up being a relatively casual round for Misfits to win out Devoduvek. Oh, actually flashed, so he's going to be pushed behind the top boxes here and taken out. So there's the first frag. A lot more to go, of course, and Misfits already having the plant now. Everyone in the Renegades just going to scatter. They're moving all separately now to try and avoid getting fragged out here, and so they can save that one AK, save a little bit of cash going into the next round. Ustilla already managed to score one frag with that pickup there, so he's taken down a second player from the Misfits roster here now. But the others are just being a little bit annoying. Sick out in the open, finds one, trying to line up for a second, and he's going to get it. Ustilla trading that back. But Amanek eventually takes down the final player left alive here, and I believe both the remaining Misfits players do survive the round after the explosion.
The fact that they got 3 kills on the back of one flashbang, that was the only investment in that round, is actually quite amazing for Renegades. And we saw the effect of that one flashbang because the player top mid was just completely destroyed. 3 players with USBs just rushing out towards him. And now, buys coming in from both teams, lacking utility. UMP 45 and Ustilla. This is not a perfect buy for Renegades, but going for it nonetheless. One player did not have enough money, so
I like that
UMP 45 was chosen.
Nicely found from Nifty. Gets that early pick here. And now JKS is going to find himself snapping onto the Misfits players, trying to push into the bomb site here. They're all stuck behind a Molly, which I believe might have been tossed out by the T's, actually. I didn't see a blue streak anywhere, so it looks like the T's are the ones that threw that and actually blocked themselves off, which ultimately leads to their doom as they pretty much get crushed, with one exception of trading out a kill into Azure.
So, 3-2 Misfits. Sitting pretty. As Renegades economy trying to build that up. But still behind with 1 round. That's just great play coming out of you still. Yeah, UMP 45 close range. Didn't have a lot of money. Had to use the UMP. Made it work nonetheless. And Misfits, despite being on 3 rounds, of course, being forced into the pistol round here. Not a lot of hope for them. A couple of deagles though. And some setup for Sean Garris. So smoke and 2 flashbangs coming in towards that A bomb site. Secondary smoke on Amanek as well. Could open up for an execute here.
It's the same top-mid opener on every round so far from Misfits for the most part. I think there may be 1 or 2 exceptions, but this is becoming very readable for Renegades to just try and lock this down, even though they are sitting behind in terms of the lead right now. I mean, look at this. This is just getting completely crushed. They know exactly what's happening. They knew they were probably going to try to go for a quick swing up Cat, and then 1 player obviously lurking around in the apartments. It's Amanek left alone. Can't even find his opponent there, as Nexa will be able to easily take him down, and it's a 5-man alive round for the Renegades as they tie it up 3-3.
At this round, I need Misfits to do something else in the start of that round. They need a different default now. They've ran the same pretty much strat for the first 6 rounds of the half, and now they're in a buy and they need to get something done here. They're buying all the way down. They need to do something else than just this usual start take in mid-control. Need to work on something else, at least with a different ending. Not a lot of utility either. 2 Molotovs coming out for the T sides and a couple of smokes, so it's a hard scenario for Misfits right now. Renegades on the other side of things have pretty much everything they could ask for. Nifty on the AWP as well, and it's just looking quite good for them.
They are splitting their players up a little bit more this time at the very least, but they're still keeping a lot of focus on taking that top box position, and this time the CTs don't even decide to wait for them to push back out. You still look, it's aggressive. It was right up through mid itself and has been able to take down Shazam, now just leaving Sick here alone. Like I said, the good news is they have players spread out a little bit more, so they can try to play with these positions a tad bit instead of just having that 1 big stack of top mid and not really having a lot of fallback options if the initial plan goes badly. It does seem like they're going back to that initial plan to go for top mid control, however, after some delay, and it's looking like 3 players are going to push up here, while 1 guy sticks behind in the apartments.
Love that play, by the way, from Justillo. Going up towards mid aggressively, taking 1 frag, then instantly flashing out and then rotating back. Just making sure that you can keep that 5v4 advantage, don't get refragged whatsoever. Because usually as CT, when you have that 5v4, you're almost not guaranteed to get the round, but if you play it correctly and play the rotations right, you're almost going to get that round. Azure with another one, so now 5v3, low HP on both of the players there. It's going to be very hard for the Misfits to do anything.
Time getting low too as JKS snags another one. That's Devo getting knocked out of the fight. Stick's already down at 13 HP. And I mean, Renegade just sniping these players off 1 by 1, picking them out like flies. And there you go. Sick and Amanek go down pretty quickly as the last 2 left alive, and the Renegades will take the lead. Up 4-3 here now, leaving Misfits with not a whole lot of excess cash. So probably just going to see another half buy or even minimalist.
This is going to be maybe a couple of Tech 9s and flashes. Nothing else than that. They want to have around that 2K mark for the next buy. They want to have one of the guys being able to buy that AWP. I think that's 6 bank at the moment, being used for that on 2600. But this is going to be just a couple of pistols for them. Sean Garris once again with the utility setup. So he's the one starting things off. And again, at this point, I would like to see a quick round for Misfits. It could be a buy round. That could be what they're waiting for to pull that out. But a quick A split with a couple of smokes, maybe in a wall of smokes to get that bomb down, change things up would be perfect for them. But their default is not working out. We can say that so far.
This is probably going to be fast mid-control to A more than likely with the way that things are shaping up here. They just need to actually get that mid-control first, which is, I mean, that's the problem, is they're focusing so much on mid, but just getting control of it. This run's a bit of an exception because they properly smoked everything off, and there wasn't a lot of contention from the Renegades. But look, the second they try to go through a connector or push it off, just rip to shreds. And that's happened on gun rounds. That's happened on initial rounds. It's a little bit unfortunate here because ever since Renegades has started going on this streak, Misfits have continued to play for mid and unfortunately have been ripped to shreds every single time they've tried to do that.
Economy on Renegades is getting pretty sick right now. Most of them are around 8, 9, 10K. On that CT side, keep building it. That's so important to continually win over your opponents, to have that economy going. And you still are 11-3 right now. I mean, pretty sick start.
No one even with 5 deaths right now. It's 4, one player, and I think 3 for the other 4.
Once again, mid-control is the name of the game, but you have to have other stuff around this. And even like gaps and smokes, just going to completely kill you And it's like the game plan, apart from taking mid-control, isn't really existing. And that's where mid-control gets dangerous, because it's all good and well if you have an execute in mind. But if you just take mid in order to just have it, you're not going to gain anything.
The core issue is it seems like, okay, they have a plan following the mid control, but they lose so many players in getting mid or trying to execute after getting mid that like the plan just falls apart every single time.
We don't get to see that plan.
Yeah, and they have to call it off. Now, this was a good trade from Sick here to be able to take down Ustilla, so he has opened up another angle with which they can go into the B-bomb site. Problem is that his teammates are still deciding if they want to group up with him or go through mid, through cat or something like that. So rotate's already here. There's 2 more players sitting in the site, but okay, Sick, he doesn't care about that. Picks up the first one, goes down to the second, but next doesn't have a lot of HP left. He's only down at 19. All that damage being done by Stick and Shazam, despite getting hit by that super high pot flash. He's able to pre-fire in next to take him out. Now the bomb goes down, and we're into a 2v2. And this is a winnable situation for Misfits. They've got to watch out for that flank. Azur already in the apartments. He's ready to move around the backside.
Smoke for the bomb as well. No, or Molotov for the bomb as well, excuse me. No smoke for the CT side. They have 2 kits. That could be the change of the round here. But so far, they got to hold them off.
Azur was spotted out there early on by Shazam, so he's going to be able to claim that kill. And he follows it through with 1 more as well. So he ends up with a nice 3K. And finally, the plan succeeds for the Misfits. They pick up a 4th round. They're keeping this match close indeed. Renegades still has the overarching advantage, though, as they have a massive bank built up. Going to easily buy them through this round and possibly buy them into the next round as well.
And what got them that round, to be honest, was just the entries coming in from Sick. Like, he got the first one in the hallways and then moved on to the side, got that kill as well. So 2 entries into the B-bomb side, did damage to the 3rd one as well. So that's all on his back, getting into that side, getting that control. Very nice from him. Always nice to see a player stepping up individually to give his team an advantage. Shazam here trying to do that with the AWP, but loses a lot of HP. Now in a pressure situation, and he's going to be able to rotate away.
Yeah, the smoke will bail him out there, prevent him from just being taken out by the van position players. So he's going to be able to escape. He's going to let most of Misfits now regroup outside of those B halls. Still keeping Amanek inside, though, as he has been the designated player for the most part to lurk in these B halls. Probably going to see him flooding in through underpass in a moment as Misfits again are moving in to take mid control. Probably is not going to lead in the same direction that we've been seeing through most of this half. That they've, for the most part, been taking the cat route after this one. Now, especially with that pick, they're going to be able to easily flush through into the connector and try to take A control here. Big part of this is still going to rely on Devoduvek, though, because they are smoked out of connectors. They need to have Devoduvek push out from the palace and make sure he hits first entry. But Renegades are set up quite well to counter out someone like Devoduvek. Oh, but hold on now. JKS moving into the open there by the headshot position. Could throw this away. And Nifty scoping in. I think the guys in connector should have been able to hear that. So they're going to know he's sitting in this corner. There you go. Sean just walks right in, takes down Nifty. JKS spins to get 1 kill. However, he's going to get knocked out directly afterwards. And Azur, same situation, finds 1 pick, but immediately goes down. In the earlier 2 initial frags from Misfits are going to make it too strong of a defense setup for Nexus to clutch out there. Misfits will take another round and tie it up again at 5-5.
Very nice coming out of Misfits there. The coordination going through connector and the timing of getting those frags and using the utility to give yourself an advantage was on point here. And that's the kind of stuff they need to bring to take this match home. Individually, they've been looking okay, but now also the utility coming behind it, the strategies are coming behind it. They actually get to execute the kind of strat they wanted and then not getting shut down mid-round. It's all speaking to their advantage. Right now, full buy from both teams. The Renegades are, most of the players actually bought down. So we have one on a $0, one on 300. So this is going to be hard economically for them if they lose this. Misfits with a big chance here.
And he's still out. He's moved out rather aggressively here from the ramp. It's not looking like he's going to immediately meet anyone from the Misfits side, though. So he's just really going to gain intel from this play. It's a lot of intel. But nonetheless, won't really lead to much until the timer starts to tick down a little bit more and we see the Misfits, again, leading into mid, taking actually relatively easy control now. It's looked like the Renegades have stopped immediately contesting them on mid control. They've let them have it, and they're going to try to contest them when they start pushing into a site, which is working out well for them so far. Nifty finding that first frag. However, JKS goes down just a second later, and now Nifty might have a problem if he doesn't check up towards Palace. I think that flash made him go behind coverage a little bit more. Devoduvek is also still lurking in that Palace, getting ready for his opportunity to push back out. And now, smoke up on top. Devoduvek doesn't care much as Azur pushes forward a little bit too much for his own good. He's taken down by Amanek. Trades continue to go, but it does seem to favor the Renegades at the end of the day, as Amanek is just left as the last man standing in a 1v2 situation with only 10 HP.
This is a very hard run to clutch, but Nexa just opens it up for him for free. Shows his body, not even looking the red ray. And now it's 1v1, but Amanek has picked up the AWP, so he just needs that 1 bullet to connect, and then he wins it. And he can play into a situation now where he has that bomb, he can get it down, he has a smoke or a Molotov for it as well. So if there's 10 seconds to go, just put that Molotov down and see what happens. But he used it a bit too early, in my opinion. But then again, he wanted to get into this position, so I think that's the play here.
Well, he's got 2 flashbangs, he's got a kit. He's got full armor, plenty of time to play with here. He's just reading into it properly, and he's gonna see, oh no! Amanek tried to go for the no-scope and missed it at point-blank range. So Yustillo is gonna end up winning that final 1v1, and he'll take the round for the Renegades. They once again go up here, 6-5.
That's a unlucky round coming in there from Amanek. The Molotov coming down to block things off, make him, like, make the opportunity for him to go into that position. And then he gets into the position, gets everything served, and
it's rough.
That's so rough there. Like, you can just see he's counting on hitting that 10 out of 10 times, and it just misses.
That was the 11th time right there. We just don't hear about it much. So with that, the CTs again will get themselves a nice little advantage to work off of here. And for the Misfits now, again, back to mid control. Yustillo's here to counter it, but again, just backs right out. He's going to let the Misfits take that initial control. It works out great because JKS is able to spray into this one, gets that first kill, lights up a second player, which I think Azer's going to take now. That's Devo Duvet gone down in addition to him, also knocking out Sean. Just Amanek left alive. 1v5, basically 0 damage being done. There's the first kill for him, but he does walk into a double peek, and Yustillo is going to end it.
All right, 7-5. Renegades with a good start here on the CT side on Mirage. Might even have a chance of upsetting the statistics here, as of course, as we talked about in the pre-game, Misfits have been winning the last 2 times these 2 teams met on Mirage. But now Renegades are looking fine. 75. Misfits forced into a pistol round, and MP9 coming out for JKS.
Yep, just that one deagle for Devo is the biggest weapon they have to play with here. He got close a few times to lining up a headshot angle, but now he's going to get pushed by JKS. Oh, Devo realized it, though, so he fell back into the quick spin to pick up the headshot. Nicely done. Sick also found a kill out on the B bombs. How did he get here? All of a sudden, he's got B site control. Azer is trying to contain the piece back over there at top mid as he picks up 1 kill. And Nifty in a very awkward battle with his opponent. Over to the op now, scoped in. Amanek trying to bait him out into the open. It works, but he's going to go down as Azer pushed in from Cat. So a little bit of fun there. Ultimately, though, leaving this down into just a 2v3. Sick actually has a pretty good position. Unfortunately, Azer is going to stay safely tucked away in ladder room. Hold on now, he could be caught moving around. Nifty scoping out, though, takes him down, and Azer up on top there also claimed the last kill into the window room against Sick.
Despite a couple of whiffed shots there, it does end out in Renegade's favor, 8-5, as it probably should have. Misfits starting out with 2 kills there, pretty good start from them, but didn't really capitalize on what they gained from those 2 kills in the end and got shut down. Now they can buy, though. Missing a bit of utility. Sean only on a single smoke. Shazam the same, but they have 5 smokes. They have a Molotov and a couple of flashes behind it, so they can probably get the full execute in if they wanted to. I'm just looking to see how they're going to use that utility, because they can just spend it all over the entire round, or they can save it all for 1 big execute, and that's what I want to see right now. 4 smokes still remaining.
2 rounds left as well in this first half here, and the Renegades have already established dominance, even if Misfits win these final 2 rounds. But for the Renegades, they have a chance to secure a great half here if they can take it up to 10-5. Misfits, regardless of the outcome of these last 2 rounds, is probably going to be somewhat okay with 5 rounds on T side. Of course, they're going to want to try and get a few more, so we'll see how these last 2 rounds do end up playing out. But again, it's the same as pretty much every single round previous to this one. Straightforward play, getting that mid control. And we'll see where it goes from here. Definitely going to be leaning towards B this time, but he's still out, patiently waiting for his chance to strike. Did lose his teammate. He's only going to be able to get 1 kill, though, so the trade really doesn't end up being worth it. Nicely done from JKS, though. Just sprays right to the smoke to pick up a kill. However, Nexa falls from within the site, leaving us down to a 3v2 in the favor of Misfits after the post plant.
Retaking with an AWP is always hard, but they have 2 kits, so the time is okay for Renegades. They can try and go for something interesting, but they're both retaking from the same position. If they can get that first opening frag, I would say go for it, but unless they find that first opening rather quickly, it's going to be very hard to retake into this side. Not a lot of utility either. That AWP and Nifty is going to make it very hard to get in there, so JKS has to just be on point.
Sick still hanging back as well. There's been no contention really yet from the Renegades as 2 remaining members. They're going to try to make this push inside. Sick already spotted one of them on cross, and the other one's fallen, so it's just on Nifty. And Nifty's realized what a mistake this was to go for the retake, but he's realized it a little bit too late. He's stuck in the site now. There's no escaping the arena, and Sick is going to be the one to punch him out.
Yeah, it's always hard to retake with an AWP, and if you get stuck in that middle ground where you can't just run away, you can't go for the frags into towards the side, it's always incredibly hard. So getting caught between a rock and a hard place there, Nifty. Gonna buy up the AWP again, but this time around, the economy is looking pretty stale for both teams. So this is gonna be, of course, forcing up, but everyone has almost what they need. Misfits missing a bit as well. Despite using all of their cash, they're still missing a couple of flashbangs here. But once again, aggressive mid push coming in from the CTs.
I like this change up now from the Renegades to get a little bit more aggressive here. Finally, they drop another round, and now they're just going to try and take away the only thing that's been relatively consistent so far from the Misfits, which has been this mid push. It's happened every single time. They're a little bit hesitant on it this time, though, so they might be aware of the aggressive play from the Renegades. Might be a pretty good read from Sean. We'll have to see if Shazam, I believe, and the one other player that's with him do decide to follow through and go up towards mid itself. That was a great flash, actually. Just no follow-up to actually punish those CTs, though, so it's not going to end up working out too well. It seems like they're just bypassing mid, though, so it works out pretty well for them, as they're going to be able to walk into B and only have to deal with Nexa, who's been somewhat hit or miss so far on defending that site.
Let's see if he can make it work. Still, Molotovs remaining from Misfits, so it's not going to be that. They're lacking flashes and smokes coming over as well. Nexa's going to be in so much trouble right now.
There's going to be a quick rotate coming in from Justillo, though, as they all abandon that mid plane. Nexa tagging in for one spot to second, is going to call that out to his teammate as Justillo picks with the frag. He now goes down to Devoduvic, but Justillo's still here, and he's fragging out and picked up the second one. And we didn't even mention this yet, but there's a really big flank on its way in from Azure right now, where he can just crush these final two players. No remorse at all being given. It's just going to be a walk-in. First kill's free. Second kill's going to be relatively easy. You can see it was trying to plant towards the end there, but not going to happen, as we do indeed see one more round being closed out by the Renegades at the end of the half. They're going to take the lead 9-6.
Yeah, that execute wasn't really on point for Misfits, and the timing as well with the Molotov coming in from the CT it's always hard, and you get into that position where you're throwing your flashes, your smokes, and now you just want to run into the side, and then the Molotov just drops straight in front of you. You have to decide, do we run through it or do we wait behind it? And then the whole push kind of gets separated into two different groups, and it's going to be very hard to execute if you're 2 and 3 trying to get in towards the same bomb site. Yeah. So it ends up 9-6. You're still on 19-6. That's a pretty sick scoreline coming out from him. Usually not the player we'll look towards as one of the ones who steps up. But this time around, he goes in and gets 19, and that's a very good first half for him. Almost 20 bomb.
And Misfits, finally, it was a good read, like I said, on round 15 to avoid mid. The problem is they still didn't really give much respect to it, and that they didn't have anyone watching for flanks at the end there. So whoever it was that ended up moving in on that flank from the CT side was able to just freely walk in and shut down those last two players. They paid a little bit more attention to that, maybe delayed the hit slightly. Things might have been able to go a little bit better because they could have caught that guy earlier and then focused on the side take. But, you know, those are things like in hindsight right there. So they did try to go for a little bit more of an aggressive, straightforward play that time on the 15th round. It just didn't pan out in their favor. Now, though, they've switched sides. They can forget all that worrisome business over on the T side, and they can focus up on their defense, since now they're on the CT side.
So we just saw Coach Kassad from Renegades give a few words of advice coming into this pistol here, and Nifty's picked up pretty much what we usually see from the in-game leader, smoke 2 flashes. The rest of the team on that T side buying body armor, and then setting up for an execute. JKS making sure that no flank is coming in from that A bomb side. That's his job right now, to just hold this one and make sure that the team doesn't get surprised. While he still is just lurking around. Boost into window.
Positioned for free, basically. Azur's going to walk in there and now have free reign. I'm not sure if the murder hole vents or whatever has been broken yet.
It shouldn't have been. They haven't played any control towards mid.
So anyway, Sean going to be tapping into these first players, trying to move their way in. We're still going to pay attention to that flank from Azure. So that's going to be a big thing that could turn this round around if the initial hit doesn't go very well. Amanek holding on for one, does get traded out, and the rest of the defense is set up in market right now. And look at that. Azure now ready to burst through, but oh no, he doesn't get that initial kill. Now they know he's here, but at the very least, he's going to split them up as he gets one. Looking for a second, he will go down to stick, but he delayed it for so long. JKS got into a great position, took out 2 players himself. He's up to 3 for the round so far, and now it's just Sick left alone in a 1v3 for the pistol control.
It's so hard when you have to retake 4 players from the same position, and you have a T in your back just ready to take you out if you rotate back. So Sick here in impossible scenario. He does have the kit, but it doesn't really matter at this point. He can go in for the frags, but surely Renegade should hold him in positions where he's not going to be able to do anything, and they do. So Renegade's picking up their round number 10. And on the back, in my opinion, of all that mid control being given, they didn't play mid whatsoever that round for Misfits. Allowed one of the terrace players to get in, make sure, okay, there's no one holding this, there's no one holding mid. They're probably playing something weird, playing very defensive, and that just initiated the push from B. They got the first pick there, got into the bomb site, held it down, and then the rotations just, it wasn't going to work out anyway for Misfit.
So Renegades first up to double digits, and they have the potential to double the scoreline from Misfits here as long as they don't get ecoed in this second round. Misfits, of course, have gone for the usual second round force by CZ's, a 5-7 for Ramanek, and then Shazam obviously saving as he's looking for the op on the first gun round. It's just going to be spread out pretty evenly for Misfits. They're not trying to stack a site, really. They do have a little bit heavier pressure towards A, but it's pretty quick rotates into B, besides just having Almanek to defend it inside of the ladder. The weird thing, though, is they don't have anybody out on the actual site. It's changing. Nope, it's not, actually. See, they don't have anyone out on the actual site, which is going to make it a little bit awkward if Renegades do go through the apartments, because they're basically just going to be able to walk onto the site for free. But at the same time, they will have the ability to 5v5 retake. However, on the flip side of that, they don't really have the gun power to go for a full-on retake. So this is a pretty risky play if Renegades do end up following through and going into the apartments. Thankfully, I believe they are going to divert to mid, where Misfits can obviously do a little bit more damage here.
Let's see. One player. That's Almanek here. In a good position in the ladder room. He can go back and forth without hearing or without being heard, because the vent there, what you call it, has always been broken, so no sound being made. If they want to do that, if they want to switch up those positions. Short control slowly coming in on the back of the mid control here. For Renegades, taking that. Ustilo's working his way in towards the B bomb side. Right now, 3 players on that B bomb side, not the best choice.
And now as they move in, Sean just getting deleted, as does Almanek. Oh. Nifty, nicely found as well. The quick cancel on the reload to just delete Shazam. And now Devo at the last minute alive. He's going to try to do a little bit of work, though. He's got quite a few players low. There's one, there's 2. Oh my goodness, Devo. He's going to get flanked, and oh, he had a double take. He didn't even realize what was happening. So Ustilo's finally going to knock him out, but he had a real chance to clutch that. That was 3 players, I think, right around or below 10 HP.
Yeah, and that's a problem if you get into a situation like that. You have a lot of CT players stacked. You don't get the complete kills. You get a lot of damage, but it's not enough. Devodovic very close to getting the clutch there. That's a beautiful 3K, all of them headshots, but still, it's very hard to be in that situation where you just have to clutch when you're on the side with the CZ 75. Right now, presence towards A ramp and mid, so definitely an A split coming in for Renegades here.
Devo trying to respawn for what was going on back out here, as he does bring a CZ back into the fight for this round, picking up 1 kill with it, but then being flanked out by the players in Connector. So it's already down to a 4v2, going to be a 4v1 in the second here, and there you go. Very fast round. Renegades just push themselves directly into the A-bomb site, something that, again, as a note here, we didn't see a whole lot of that from Misfits. We didn't really see a whole lot of direct plays and whatnot. So Renegades already changing up the game style a little bit here and adding a bit more flair to their T side.
This is not looking like the usual Misfits as we see them. Renegades, nonetheless, are looking exactly as they looked, as you mentioned, online when they qualified for Malmo. They looked very nice in that online qualifier, looked very structured, got a lot of good openings as well, and on the back of that, the utility usage getting into the sides. This is looking almost like the exact same. They have a lot of control in this matchup now, and they're on the T side, they can control the pace, they can do what they want, force Misfits to play to their strengths, and it's working out. If Misfits fail to get this round as well, their economy, of course, they have the loss bonus, but they don't have a lot of money either to buy back into this. So Renegades, if they win this, could look at 13, 14 rounds, maybe even 15 to 6.
And that would be crushing way for Misfits to start this tournament off. They're going to look to change that, though, in the start. But again, they left no one in the actual site. So Ustilo was allowed to just crawl right inside of the site by going all the way through apartments, completely uncontested. And already they've lost shot in trying to move back into a position. Almanek looking for a trade, but he whips the whole clip, essentially. Only tags for like 20 damage overall. Now the rest of the team is slowly moving in to take full control over the site. You can see Misfits trying to poke back in themselves and get it back before they lose it completely, as they know that the bomb is still lagging behind a little bit too. However, every attempt they make is being punished very well by the guys from the Renegades, and there's another one right there. However, 2 kills being traded back. Misfits may have opened up another opportunity, and nicely done from Devo Duvek. Just completely takes down 3 players in a matter of seconds. It's only on JKS now, but he's got that molly. They do have a smoke to counter that, though. Oh, but the molly almost just burns out Devo right from the start. There's the smoke, and JKS is going to be able to quickly move in and take down Shazam as he gets challenged. And now it's just Devo Duvek once again trying to win this one out for his team. JKS jumping around, gloating a little bit. He's on the defuse as he realized it. He needs to kill him quickly, and no! Yes, actually, he does get the kill in time. So with that, the Renegades are going to be able to pick up their 13th round.
That was a close one, but luckily for the Renegades. They had JKS, and he played that one perfectly. What a round from Devaduvek, though. Coming in with the first, second one coming in there, swings back, gets yet another frag behind the bench. That's a beautiful 3K, but not enough to win the round once again. Devaduvek stepping up, getting another 3K, but nonetheless, Renegades pick up the round. As I said, the money's not going to be good. It is not good for the Misfits. 3C sets and some utility is the best they have to offer right now, and should not be enough.
That's a bit unfortunate. You still having basically a free card at the start against Dominic, and missing it by 15 HP. He saw that jump there, so they already know there's 2 players around Cat and ladder room, potentially window room as well, obviously as an extension of that one. So they know that there's pretty heavy presence on B. However, at the same time, over here on the other side of the map, Sick was able to make a very aggressive push right inside of Palace and pick up a first kill here, taking down JKS. He took a lot of damage from him. He's only down at 20 HP now after taking that fight against JKS, but still, I think after already spotting these 2 players and knowing the general location of a third, they're going to feel confident enough to once again try and work their way over towards the B bomb site to make a play here.
Nifty edging his way in, taking control of the ladder room.
Might not be B, actually. Azur is also sitting a connector.
Yeah, they have a lot of choices here. They can choose wherever they want to go.
And well, next up, okay, gets that first entry on Shazam, taking him down. He's looking for it. There's like 3 players that could peek out from that CT side at any given second here. So Next has got to be ready. This is like a game of whack-a-mole here.
See, Next and Nifty now pushing in towards as the rotation is happening. Only one CT player at this bomb site right now. That's Amanek on 15 HP, unless they don't check it. And they do. And that's double frag, triple frag coming in for Renegades, and only Sig remaining. Surely he'll be trying to save that AK right now. Nope. 19 HP in a Dream is not going to be enough.
That's so unfortunate, the timing that Misfits had with rotating off that site.
That was
they had like 2
or 3 seconds off.
They had like 4 players in the site ready to defend. You saw Nexa picking up the first one relatively easily, but the other 3 were just going to sit there and wait for them to push into the site, I think. Problem was, just as you mentioned, just as the Renegades were starting to push into that bomb site, is like the same exact time that Misfits threw 2 guys into the market and made it pretty much impossible for them to defend that site. So they kind of threw away what could have been a round-winning setup and has now put them in this pretty poor situation, 14-6, where they basically have to be flawless from this point forward if they want to try and win this map. Pretty
much. But they do have the buy. You have almost all the utility they want. Spend a bit in the beginning of the round, so it's a bit deflated now, but still. Full buy. AWP and Shazam, we've been talking about him in the pregame. All the analysts agreed that he was the one to watch. He was the one to make this happen for Misfits. Now he's on and off, back turned against the wall. He has to win 10 rounds in a row to bring this back without going to OT. And this is his time to shine. This is Misfits to step it up, because, yeah, 16-6 eventually, if it happens, is not a great start to a tournament for them.
And Renegades actually splitting themselves up really wide across this map right now. The biggest team they have is a 2-man team up at top box. It's going to group up a little bit more now, though, is the number 3 player, Azur. He's going to move through underpass. And in the second, be able to contribute to the rest of this push, which I think is heading towards B again. It was looking like they were just going to take mid control and see where it went from there, but they kind of abandoned the quest for mid control. And now, well, Nifty's been given a white for sure, but no one rotating in just yet. It's only him that's been spotted. There's been quite a few attempts fake out towards being Sick. I'm not sure if he saw Azur picking up just a moment ago there. He sees his rifle for sure, so he's going to be able to just kneecap him there a little bit, taking him down. And there's the first kill, of course, in the favor of the Misfits, but now the opportunity to turn it back in the other direction. Sean holds in with a double, potentially a triple as well, and there you go. Completely kills the hit. It's only Nifty left alive in a 1v5. And well, he's going to find one. Knows where the second is. Misses that flick, though, and forced to dive into the site here now. He's going to be flanked out in a moment, though, by Shazam, and he'll close it up as Misfits pick up a 7th.
And when we needed them to step up, Sean Garris comes in with a triple. In-game leader and captain of that team. Probably the one with the most experience on that team as well. Steps up when he's most needed. Crash 3 there next to JKS. And you still all go down to that. And Misfits now in 7 rounds, still can buy up double upset on that CC side. Amanek and Shazam, this is something Vendetta talked about in the pregame as well. This is a very deadly setup, especially if they can hit their shots. So far, we haven't seen a lot from them AWP-wise. Let's see if they can make it work.
Yeah, you heard the analysts talking about how Sean was an X factor there, and with a 3K, he's finally kind of caught up to the rest of his teammates. Still currently in last place for frags in the team, but he's doing a great job there, saving his team, keeping them alive. Might be a bit of a moot point, though, for Renegades to trade this round right back. And there we go. They started off. They get free control of the window room, moving back in. Nice trade from Shazam, but he is in a little bit of a tough spot. There's going to be a lot more pressure moving in from mid in a second. But he also has more of his teammates on the way. As with the exception of Amanek, everybody has fully committed over here towards this A bomb site now, ready to defend it, but where's that support at? It's nowhere within the site itself. It's still skirting around on the outskirts right now. JKS finding a shot. Shazam missing a very crucial shot, so he goes down to Ustillo, leaving this into a 4v2 here now. 4v1 now as JKS claims another frag. And Amanek, well, he was always on the other side of the map, so there wasn't a whole lot that he could do to contribute to this situation. Now his best hope is to save, as his team has just been reset.
Yeah, that was a pretty weird CT hold. If we look at that back on a replay or on a demo, you'll see that they technically had 3 players towards the bomb side, but 2 of them were stuck towards that murder hole position, and they were changing positions since Shazam with the AWP didn't want to hold close range, so he wanted to rotate to CT spawn. So they had to use like 5 seconds on changing positions, and within those 5 seconds, that was when the terrace hit, so the timing was perfect. There was no backup for the player on side, as you mentioned. And then it's incredibly hard just to hold a side, at least alone against 3-4 players as they come in, and that's why Renegades now sitting on 15 rounds. Misfits on a scrappy buy, 2 pistols as well, not a lot of utility, and this looks very hard for them.
It's going to be the end of the road for them right here. We'll have to see how exactly Renegades decide to play it out. Sometimes teams slow down a little bit too much here and end up fortunately tripping themselves out, and that allows for Misfits, or the other team in the situation, to come back a little bit. However, Renegades still seem to be playing part of the course that they've been playing on this half so far. At this round, though, they're going to completely avoid mid-control in its entirety. They just have players spread across both B halls and, of course, Palace and A ramp to watch out and see if they can get any initial picks here against Misfits before eventually going in for a take, wherever they decide to send it.
I like this approach from Ustillo, just using his utility to clear out positions, making sure that he's not going to be caught off guard by a close-range pistol, making sure that he uses all the advantages he has before they do the execute. Potentially his Molotov won't be needed, so he can just use that to clear out players who could caught him out or catch him out nonetheless. Here we go. Couple setups coming in towards that mid-control from the Terrace team. And right now it looks like they're going to go for a split A, but with that smoke coming down to short, definitely a split A.
Just all about waiting for the execute now to come in from the Renegades. They're getting ready to move into the site. Misfits have remained as quiet as mice themselves. Trying to peek out or challenge until someone moves into their own angle here. Sean finally going to move out. He actually missed an opportunity to kill a guy that was on top of the Tetris over there. 1-to-1 trade from within the site, but Azur, he's going to get overwhelmed by Amanek. So hold on, a 3v4 here now. He still has to be a little bit careful. As he's pushed into this corner, will end up getting dinked. He'll go down. Nifty trading out 1 kill, but it's just JKS and Nifty left alive now. And JKS Cross doesn't even have his gun out. Quickly re-peeks it, but then pulls the grenade out again. And Nifty does the same exact thing. Switching over to his CZ that time, but he's running low on time itself. And finally, Shazam peeks out. It's a team ace from Misfits to keep them in the game and claim an 8th round.
The timings this round for Renegades was not only unlucky, but also so off point. Like, we saw that 2 times in a row, pulling out the pistol, pulling out the nade. Even when they rotated in towards that A bomb side, the timing was also unlucky that they checked an angle, then they thought they cleared it, and then looked away, and the exact time they look away, the CTs pushed them. So a round pretty much lost by timing there from Renegades. They should have had that, and now they're forced into pistol rounds, Deagles and such coming in from the Renegades.
Deep nade going off. Doesn't do a huge amount of damage, unfortunately. Renegades do just resolve to go for a full save on this round. However, there's a couple Deagle investments and a P250. That's going to be it. And so far, Misfits have been doing a fantastic job of handling all this. The Deagle's now gone as well, so you don't have to worry about any of that firepower. Azur sneaking off 1 with the Glock, but then promptly goes down to stick in the connector. And JKS won't get very far either. So it is a nice, quick round, and stick gets another 4K there.
That's something I like a lot from Renegades, because they're in a position where they could technically force buy, but they look at the scoreboard and say, okay, we're up 15-8. There's no reason to force buy into this. Let's just buy a couple of Deagles, make sure we all have around 3K so we can get, like, without a doubt, anything that we want, apart from maybe the AWP player. And then they can go into a round and say, okay, now we have the full setup. Now we have all the smokes we need for our execute, and now we can bring this out, this one home and just take round number 16.
Yeah, Nifty ended up on the unlucky side of this buy, though, as he ends up with a glass cannon op purchase, so he had to make the decision of whether he wanted the armor and wanted the ability to skirmish a little better, or if he wanted that op. So he's gone for the latter of those 2 choices, and we'll see how that pans out for him when this execute moves in. Very aggressive position being taken up by some of these CTs, though, and trying to counter out an apartments push. Should that happen again in Nifty? Well, we'll see if he decides to shoot. We'll see if he gets lucky at all. And looks like he does. Just as the smoke starts to fade away, he finds Shazam up on top of the van position. So he might have actually been able to just physically see him there since the smoke was fading. Nicely found regardless from Nifty. Gets that first kill of the round. Sets it up nicely for his team to now try and close out on this matchup.
And that's something I wonder in that position where Shazam gets taken out. Why Amanek, the second he hears Shazam being taken out, why he doesn't just step in and revenge like frags instantly. In that situation, it was pretty much a 1v1.
The problem there is that the Renegades have had pretty big stacks in the apartments previously to push into the sites. There is the risk of you know, there being like 2 or 3 other players there and just immediately refragging him. The fear definitely coming into play here. ASTRO coming in with a fearful one, taking down Amanek, and now the push goes in. Sean Garris on the bomb side doesn't get more than 1. And now it's just a 2v4 here. DreamHack is going to make a desperate move. He's making a few of those throughout the course of this map, but it's been working out so well for him so far. A very aggressive player, but it's been keeping his team in the map. He moves in, picks up that kill, brings it down to a much more palatable 2v3. That smoke, I believe they just tossed in. It is going to open up an avenue. Unfortunately, DreamHack's gone down and Stick is surrounded from all sides. So at the end of the day, it is indeed going to be the Renegades to take it 16-9 at the end of the map, and they'll be able to push forward into the winner's final.
Very nice play coming out of the Renegades. I have to say, not the level I expected from the Misfits. Their individual skills ceiling is so high. We saw them at Tour doing very well. This was not the same team. I hope they can step back. They definitely have everything like in their power to take this one back. And technically, in my opinion, they could have also taken this game, and as all the analysts said as well, like they were our favorites coming into this. But nonetheless, it's Renegades who step up. It's you still who has a sick game. It's them as a team who take this one and move on into the winner's game.
Absolutely, they're going to be able to push forward. Great performances across the board in general there from the Renegades. We've had players like Nexo, who started off a little bit slow in the first half, really come into fruition once they jumped onto the T side with some very important entries, especially towards the end of that map there, that really made the difference and allowed for the Renegades to push forward all the way up to round 16, where they did eventually take it. And as for the Misfits, well, unfortunately, we're still waiting for that Misfits back from Tours to really shine again. The Misfits that took down Navi, that took down Heroic, and took down all these big European teams. They haven't shown up just yet, so we're still waiting for that team to come back.
And one thing that I kind of think about when I think about Tour is that they played without fear. They played with a lot of confidence. They came in like, okay, we have nothing to lose. We can do whatever we want. In this matchup, it kind of felt like Misfits were playing a bit, I wouldn't say scared, but not with the same amount of confidence as they had in Tour, especially Shazam. When he went in for openings with that AWP down there, it was just insane how like crazy situations he would go into and just say, yeah, I can get this, and got the shot as well. This is not looking like the same team, and definitely need some kind of not mental upgrade, but they definitely need to talk about the issues and make sure that everyone is very confident about their role in the team and very confident about getting the picks that they want to.
All right, guys, looks like Smix is ready with an interview with our winners. Let's send it up to the stage.
Thank you very much, guys. Congratulations, Nifty. You are moving on to the winners match with that. And I was looking at the results with you and Misfits, and the last time you guys played, interestingly enough, it was Mirage, and back then they beat you guys 16-6, so must feel good to get revenge this time.
Yeah, certainly. You know, we've played against Misfits a few times, and we came in very prepared to this match, and we knew we were going to go up against, so yeah, we were very confident that we were going to beat them.
During the major qualifier, you gave an interview and you were talking about how it wasn't the fragging of your team that you're worried about. It's more about teamwork and communication and things like that. So how have you spent the time since then in terms of working on all of those things? Yeah,
absolutely. You know, I've always said that. Like, there's no problem with any of the players on our team, you know, shooting their weapons and getting kills. So it really just depends. Like if our communication is good, you know, and we're working together, I really believe that we can compete with all the best teams. So.
Now, if you just win one more match, you are moving on to the semifinal. It's going to be Hellraisers, who you've never played before. That being said, they are a very good team at this tournament. So, what are your thoughts against them?
You know, I mean, we're going to do our homework on them and just come in prepared. That's really all that we can do. You know, just stay confident. So.
Well, congratulations again. With the winners match is set for Group A. It will be Hellraisers versus Renegades.
Thank you so much, Smix. Well, not exactly the outcome that we predicted. It's very impressive showing there by Renegades.
Yeah, we got to see the wild card you still come into full fruition, and honestly, a pretty impressive showing from Renegades overall. Just from the CT start as well, even though there was a bit of a messy start, to put it that way, winning pistol, losing anti-takers, losing well, in Misfits end at least. Just the back and forth, you kind of would have expected Misfits to take more advantage of that kind of a start than they did, but Renegades did a great job pulling it back, and then even though they didn't necessarily fight too much for mid control initially, they seemed to always find smoke frags or like stuff like that. Every single time you saw a basic default being set up from Misfits' side, so that obviously pulls a lot of the punch out of your attack from a Misfits side, and that was really well done by Renegades.
From a Renegade side, I thought Ustillo was like really turned up here, and actually he wasn't one of the players that we really spoke about before this matchup. How did you feel about his performance?
Well, in terms of firepower, Ustillo is like one of the guys that can just pop off, I guess. Yeah. Him being the entry, that if he's doing well, the team's going to be doing well. But overall, I'm just going to go to a point that Risk was talking about right before they threw it back to us, is that Misfits was playing a lot more loose when we saw them in tours. And that's kind of like that honeymoon phase where they don't really have too much structure yet, so they're playing loose and they're playing off their individual talent. And now they are looking a little bit more tight, maybe trying to work off of the strategy more, not so much their individual skill. So that might be why we're seeing that. So.
And let's talk about Misfits then, because obviously we all predicted they would win this game, and obviously they didn't. So what? Not only do we feel like, that's not what we expected, they can't have been expecting this either. What's going to be going on in their heads now, and how can they bounce back from this?
Now, again, if I'm Misfits, I'm thinking to myself, well, this is kind of the same start we had in Valencia. We were able to somewhat shake it off going into our elimination BO3, and that's what they are looking at this, coming up as well. So I think they just have to look at it as a new chance. They're going to have a series instead to work off of instead of just a best of one, which a lot of teams prefer, obviously, because you do have the opportunity to mess up a little bit and then come back into it eventually. And that's going to be good for them. But honestly, I think it alludes more to what Eric was talking about, the fact that they need to play with, well, I think at least a team with Sean Garrett needs to play more structured and actually seem like they have a constant game plan to whatever they're doing and fully believe in it if they're going to be successful.
Also, maybe a silver lining for Misfits. Davidovec was another player that we didn't really speak about. We were talking about Amanek and his recent performances, but Davidovec played generally very well. There was a couple of times there where we saw him really pop off, as we saw with Ustillo. What can he take from that? And were you impressed by his performance?
I wasn't really impressed by his performance because on his T side, I think he had like maybe 4 or 5 frags for the entire half.
Most, yeah.
It was only after he got that 3K with his CZ that he was like, "Ooh, I'm nuts again."
Yeah,
I'm back.
Now I can play CS.
And then after that 3K, he bought another CZ, had another decent frag the next round. Then he had that 3K in the B bomb site. They ended up winning the round, but he looked like he was very on point. And he has a unique aiming style. It's kind of like very shaky, like he's got Parkinson's way he's shooting.
Do you think it's like? So, well, you've played with Pex.
Yeah.
The ultimate shake shooter.
Yeah, exactly. He reminded me of Pex instantly when I saw that. Or Caribbean.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, he got on point. The second half, we're starting to feel it. So hopefully we can see more of that in the second game.
Cool. Any final thoughts about this game before we move on?
No, honestly, just pleasantly surprised by Renegades starting hot, and hopefully they can bring the same kind of a level going into their winners match.
Cool. Okay, so we have a special guest to the desk right now, which means, Eric, sadly you will be kind of moving off
You'll be sitting on the bench.
And I think we'll bring our special guest in. We have Jonas Jerbko, the NBA player and owner of Renegades, to come and chat a little bit about his experience here in DreamHack, and also as an owner of as an esports team.
Hey. I'm Jonas. Nice to meet you.
Albert,
nice to meet you, Jonas.
How you doing?
Welcome to the desk.
I all of a sudden feel really small.
Well,
a little bit.
A little bit.
How are you doing? You enjoying DreamHack?
Yeah, man. First event ever. Having a great time. Obviously, seeing my team win, play great. Yeah. It's fun.
Yeah, it must be really special actually watching them on stage up there. So this is your first watching esports live?
Yeah, it's my first live event. I kind of wish I was out there playing myself, but
do you play a lot?
I do play a lot. Yeah.
CS?
More than you think.
How good are you? What rank are you?
I'm playing ESCA right now. I'm like nice. B+, going back and forward. So I'm all right.
So at some point we might see you up on the stage playing at a DreamHack Open.
I bought a team for a reason, so I'm trying to get myself in the lineup. We'll see when that happens.
So why was it? Why did you decide, okay, I want a team now?
You seeing this? I mean, I love esports. I've been a gamer my whole life, so I love the scene. I love where it's going. I love what you guys are doing. I love being here, so it's great.
And how do you think it compares? What, like, from a person who's going from a traditional sports background, being around other sports players and team owners and all that kind of thing. How does esports compare?
It's very similar. You know, these guys are preparing to play another team, and like it's a team game. You got to play together to beat the other team. So esports, sports, I kind of call it the same thing. I love being here. I love seeing the competitiveness in all the different games.
So as a team owner, obviously you've been in high pressure situations playing in the NBA. Do you get nervous when you're sitting there not being able to like actually impact on the game as you would be? I'm
gonna be honest right here. I get more nervous on playing ESEA and it's a 15-14 game than if it's an NBA game. I'm so used to it. So like I said, I love the competitiveness in esports, and I love being here, and thanks for having me.
Yeah. I mean, well, yeah, you grew up in Sweden, so obviously, I guess gaming genes kind of just run in that entire country.
Oh, yeah.
Is that where it all started for you from a young age, just playing Counter-Strike during dark winter nights?
Playing Counter-Strike, staying at home instead of going out and partying, you know, playing with my friends and, you know, trying to be the best I can be, and then the next day going to play some basketball. So esports really helped me, and you know, to be where I'm at today, it's amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah. And are you going to be sticking around for the whole 3 days?
Oh yeah.
Especially if Renegades make it all the way?
I'm expecting a Renegades win this tournament, so you know, I'm excited to be here. All jokes aside, I'm excited for my team. I think we got a really good squad. I think we're up and coming, so it's fun.
Yeah, and I think from that first performance, we're all thinking the same thing right now. They're definitely going in the right direction, and yeah, we're going to see great things from them.
Exactly.
Cool. Thank you for joining us up on the desk, and yeah, I hope to see you out in the crowd.
Let's play sometime.
Yeah, let's play.
Let's do it
right now.
Absolutely.
We're going to go to a break, and we're going to go
play for a little bit.
Yeah, we're going to go play some CS. We're going to play some ESEA. Heroic and Godsent are coming up next. That is our 4th best of 1 of the day. So we'll be back very soon after this break. Catch you soon.